Hey YouTubers, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. Enjoy the video. Hey YouTubers, and welcome back to another Dragon Ball Super discussion video. I am once again joined by the one, the only, the man himself. You guys have been missing him. I've seen in the comment section below. MJ, why don't you say hello to everyone listening?
Hello.
That's all you got from me after like a month of just dodging me? Is that
okay? I am back. the leader of the rock and roller, the El Capitan of MJxTV. I went out searching for Geekless TV, bro. I heard he's running an orphanage in Mexico. That's what I heard.
Anyway, guys, so we're going to be talking about, you guys saw the title, you saw the thumbnail. We got episode 19, 110, and 111. And they built up Jiren more so than they have throughout this entire arc right now. The guy took it to Goku, he took it to Hit, the two people that he says, even at the end of 111, that he was there to beat.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, and I'm sure you as well, MJ, what is it gonna take to fight this guy? Because they've implied, and especially in 111 with Frieza, that Goku needs to get Ultra Instinct again. And of course, they did imply within the special that Goku was improving. I mean, his Zenkais are improvement. Like, maybe Ultra Instinct just makes you hit. I don't know. Gets faster and starts improving. Who knows? But the thing is they're implying that Goku's going to get it again very, very heavily. But is that going to be enough? Because even when Goku got it, even though it was fleeting, and they only fought for probably like 5 seconds, I mean, really, if we think about it, they didn't fight for very long. But could it be that at the very end of all this, Goku and Vegeta are still going to need to fuse in order to fight this guy? Because this guy is, as they've heavily implied, got a destruction tier. Even being able to defeat Belmont or Vermouth or whatever you want to call him. So what are your thoughts on them having to fuse at the end of all this in order to just even fight him? Or do you think Ultra Instinct is going to be shown to be enough?
It's really weird because this comes down to what you actually think of Jiren and his overall power. Like, I've talked to different power scalers, in the community. I've talked to, Danny. We've done a video on Jiren. There's really weird situations where people think he's holding back, and there's people who think he isn't holding back. An example of what I mean is when he blocks Goku's punch at the end of the special, people are presuming that he was holding back, and then there's people, the other half of the community, think that he only survived that because Goku's time ran out, So it's a bit weird. If he was holding back, then going off of that, yeah, I would think they would need to fuse, because even if Goku does get Ultra Instinct again, if he does tap into that state of being that the gods know, Ultra Instinct, Mastery of Self Movement, if Jiren was holding back, then I don't see how Goku's gonna take it to this guy, you know what I mean? I don't know what else he could do. This dude used all of his techniques that he used his whole bag of tricks. He threw his whole arsenal at Jiren as a Super Saiyan Blue with Kaioken times 20. And then we didn't even see Jiren use an aura until he blocked that punch. You know what I mean? So it's like, we really don't know. Fusion, though, does seem to be a good bet, because for one, they heavily imply he's got a destruction level. I believe Toei even put it out on their website, where his bio says that he has power on the level of Gods of Destruction, and Whis even implies that he may surpass it. So if that's the case, he's far beyond stronger than Merge Zamasu or anything we saw in the Future Trunks arc, and they needed to fuse for Zamasu, So they could fuse. We could see possibly a Gogeta. Now, the question here is, though, will we just see regular blue Gogeta, or will we see Gogeta with the Ultra Instinct, the Mastery of Self Movement? Because if that's the case, then holy hell, man, say goodbye to the Macroverse. You know what I mean? If that's the case, I can't even imagine a battle of that proportion. I mean, what are your thoughts?
Oh man, first of all, I would actually really like to see a Gogeta, like, as a canonized version. And like, to a lot of people out there who are talking about and probably saying, well, Vegeta doesn't know how to use the dance or anything else like that. Let's just be clear. This wouldn't be the first time they just kind of pulled it out where Goku and Vegeta just know how to do it, or Vegeta knows how to do it and he could just kind of master it quicker than the kids did back then. One of the things I really liked about that dance that they did in Dragon Ball GT is that it wasn't necessarily a big thing. It's like, okay, Vegeta really knows about it. They could do it. They might make a mistake once. That would be kind of a funny thing. And then Gohan and Piccolo and everyone else has to kind of come together in order to distract Jiren or Toppo or Dispo or something. And then they come back and they fuse again in order to actually fight Jiren. That would be really kind of cool. But just on that level, I want to go back to Goku being Ultra Instinct and whether or not he could step to Jiren as Ultra Instinct. And I have to go back to the interview that they had with Toriyama, and this was, to be fair, this was a long time ago, maybe like back in, I guess, mid 2016, where Toriyama believed he was saying that Goku was not going to surpass Beerus anytime soon. Goku and Vegeta won't.
Yeah.
And at this point, I know time has passed, and Toriyama has been known to make changes to his ideas or something else like that. But if you allow Goku, whether it's a fleeting technique, which, because they're heavily implying that Goku needs to get it back again, and if he doesn't have to do something incredibly dangerous or even, just a little bit reckless to get the form back, and he could just get it back through anger like Saiyans usually do, then I'm wondering whether we're going back on that whole interview that he gave, where at that point, Goku has to be stronger than Beerus. Beerus, every single time we see him in a tournament, Goku brings out a new form of power and all this other stuff that Beerus is on the sidelines, and they make a point to show he's getting nervous. I mean, he was getting nervous about Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 10. Now Goku's Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken times 20 and has Ultra Instinct, which is just a technique. Like, as I said before, and I don't necessarily know the accuracy of this, I want your opinion, but to me, everyone has been touting this as a technique, not necessarily a transformation. So at least in my opinion, there could be other techniques on top of it, as we've seen Goku do before, and there might even be like transformations on top of this, because as we said, it's just a way that your body reacts. It's not necessarily a new form. So, I mean, that would literally put Goku over Beerus, and I think that's not something Toriyama wants to do. So having Goku and Vegeta fuse would be pretty epic. Now, to answer your question, I think honestly it would be cool to see a Gogeta with Ultra Instinct, but I would actually really just prefer it like Blue Gogeta, because I feel like if you're putting Goku and Vegeta, at least their fusion, on that level, who is ever going to step to these people again?
It's very weird. Now, we may do another video on this, but there is a weird line during the Tournament of Power. Now, I understand, guys, don't shoot me. I understand the mortal level has nothing to do with power. But there is this line by one of the universe, I forgot what universe, I think it's universe 5, I could be wrong, the real ugly god of destruction, the one that was like E.T. Yeah. He mentions, like, he's scratching like his face, and he's like, I'd never thought we would see warriors of this caliber at the tournament, and he's talking about Jiren fighting Ultra Instinct Goku. Now, does that imply that the exempt universes hold warriors stronger than Jiren? Does that imply that he's seen this type of power before? Who knows? That could be a possible, we could do a discussion on that in the future, because that could mean, because obviously Super's not going anywhere. We're going to need people beyond Jiren after this arc. So who knows? Another discussion for another day. But going back to the Blue Gogeta, yeah, I do agree with that. It would probably be Blue Gogeta, because back in the day, it was heavily implied that Vegeta could go SS3, but we only saw Super Vegeta. You know what I mean? So if Goku does know how to use Mastery of Self Movement, but Vegeta doesn't, or at least he has an idea of it, we could possibly see it, but it would probably be Blue, because Blue is most likely the more stable fusion between those two. You know what I mean? Since they both know how to utilize that power and that form to its full capabilities. You know what I mean? It would make sense for them to use that, and we would get Gogeta Blue. Now,
I just want to jump in here real quick and just say, like, I agree with you though. I really feel like Jiren, I'm one of the people on the side that Jiren is holding back. So we're not necessarily sure how hard they're going to have to go.
Yeah, we don't know what this battle could actually do and what it could bring. Now, I wanted to answer your question about Beerus. I was talking to Keelan, he's one of my friends who does the power scaling videos, and he was telling me, going off of the statements and stuff, because he really analyzes this stuff in this part of the show. He was telling me, in his opinion, I can't remember exactly word for word what he said because it was through Twitter messages. He was telling me that it's pretty implied, in fact, he's 100% sure that Jiren's stronger than Vermouth, the clown god of destruction. Now, does that mean he's stronger than Beerus, though? Because if we go to the manga, it's almost implied that Beerus is the most skilled God Destruction out of all of them. So, again, it's hard to really say, because Whis does put Jiren over and says, yeah, he's like on God Destruction level. This dude's power is beyond comprehension. So, it's really hard to say, because they can always go back, bro. They can always go back and have, like, Beerus mention that, oh, at the end of this tournament, oh, I could have beat him if I jumped in. You know what I mean? Or they could always throw in one of those weird lines there. Now, I'm not trying to say that Jiren isn't or is stronger than Beerus. I'm just saying he is on God of Destruction level, but going off of the statement with Vermouth and going off of the manga, it does seem like there's different levels to the Gods of Destruction. They're not all one set strength. This also goes back to the angels. Not all of the angels are a set strength. They differ from each other because at one point in time back in the day, Vados was stronger than Whis, and Whis had to train to surpass her. Or at least get equal to her. So they're not on all sets of strength. They differ from each other the same way mortals differ from each other. So, Jiren may be on God Destruction level, but he may not be stronger than like the strongest God Destruction, which seems to be Beerus, or Beerus is one of the top ones. I just wanted to point that out there for the people who have questions, because I've seen people confused by this. I've seen people wondering, well, if Goku has mastery of self-movement, isn't he Whis level? No, that's not the case, because even though Whis has mastery of self-movement, the Grand Priest can still beat him up. You know what I mean? So, it's not, just because Goku and Jiren or Goku have mastery of self-movement does not put him on that level. You know what I mean? Just wanted to point that out there.
And I want to just kind of end by saying one of the reasons I feel like the fusion is definitely needed between Goku and Vegeta. Not only would it be one of the coolest things that we've seen in the Tournament of Power, and this whole tournament, this whole arc has just been nothing but awesome moments, guys. Like, this is one of the coolest things I think Dragon Ball has ever done. And I'm not just talking about superhero, GT, Z, Dragon Ball, the games, extended universe, all this other stuff. Like, this tournament has given us some epic moments, and it's only halfway done. I mean, let's just like think about that for a second. But
it has.
But the thing is the one reason I don't want, and like you said, I understand like what you said kind of puts that into perspective for a lot of people, but I don't want there to be this confusion and that Goku is somehow stronger than Beerus, because even though it's been so long since we've seen Goku fight Beerus, either in the movie or in the arc that was adapting the movie or the manga or wherever you're kind of working off of, I don't want there to be any confusion, or I want there to be at least some speculation when they finally get around to showing Goku versus Beerus 2, like round 2. Because I cannot be alone with wanting to be one of the people who actually sees that fight happen. I want to see Beerus get his hands dirty somehow, some way, in the future of Dragon Ball Super. And I think if Goku and Vegeta do not fuse in this, it's going to cause such a commotion that now Goku is somehow stronger than Beerus. Despite everything that you just said, people aren't going to pick up on this. They're not going to think about it in that way. And we're going to either have to deal with that, or they're going to have to retcon Beerus's strength, like you said. He's going to have to say something or something, and it's going to be like, well, if he was this strong, like, just how much power was he using during the first fight with Goku? Because it doesn't make sense. Like, how did he have fun at all?
At this point, bro, it was a dinosaur versus an ant, bro. At this
exactly.
point in Battle of Gods. But before we end this, I want to point out, too, that in a way, fusing is kind of cool and a saving grace, because Beerus hasn't seen fusion yet. So if he were to see fusion, they could really hammer it down that Super Saiyan Blue Gogeta at full power is superior to a Beerus and an Ultra Instinct Goku and Jiren. But once they defuse, regular Ultra Instinct Goku still needs some more training to surpass Beerus. They could do it like that if they wanted to, but I'm more of inclined with you that I kind of want Goku to surpass him already, because just imagine how funny it would be if the next arc picks up with both Goku, Beerus, and Vegeta training under Whis. Like, he's with them training too. That would be so hilarious. I would love that. But yeah,
that would be cool. It would also kind of hark back to what they said at the Fukatsu no F arc of Dragon Ball Super and also the movie. It would really give credence again to what Whis was saying then, where it's like, if you guys would just work together, you could beat Jiren, you could beat Beerus. And they're like, no, that will never happen. And it's just kind of that one thing. They're like, almost everything that we said at that very beginning of those the respective arc or movie is coming to fruition in this particular fight. And I think that would be really cool. First he mentions Ultra Instinct, and then he mentions you could just work together and you could just beat him, and they're like, no. Like, and I honestly think that would be kind of cool. But I want to hear everyone's opinions on this. Do you think Goku and Vegeta really at this point need to fuse, considering how much of an alpha Jiren is? I think it was Nathan who said they mistranslated his name. It's not Jiren the Great, it's Jiren the Alpha.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with that. But guys, do you think that Goku and Vegeta need to fuse in order to actually win the Tournament of Power? Would you like to see that? Again, like I always say, please go down to the description section below, hit that link, and go subscribe to MJ for more awesome Dragon Ball content in the future. The guy posts really often, and he always brings top level tier quality to your subscription box. Anyway, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell over by the subscriber button. That's going to notify you every single time I upload. But with that being said, guys, it's been a really awesome day. I hope everyone has a good week. It's been real.